Welcome to the Friday Habit with Mark Labriola and Benjamin Manley. The Friday Habit is for small business owners, freelancers, and creatives who are ready to take their business to the next level. Join us as we discover how to apply the strategies we learned to grow our businesses, make more money, and live every day like it's Friday. And welcome back to another Friday Habit. And I hope you're doing amazing. Wherever you're listening to this right now, just know that things are going to get better and it's going to be okay. So keep fighting, keep pushing, and keep growing, okay?
Are you talking directly to me, Mark? Because
No, Ben, I'm not. We got Ben on the episode today. Hey, Ben. Dude, it's been a minute. You've been just traveling the world. You're like the most interesting man in the universe right now. Since we have you on here, give us just a quick flyover of where you've been and where you are currently, and then like where you're heading next.
Sure. Sounds good. I'll keep it short. Mexico, Netherlands, Ireland, France. I'm in Spain right now, Valencia, sunny Valencia, which lives up to its name so far. And going to Morocco next week.
Oh, I hear Morocco's awesome. So
yeah, me too. I've never been, but I'm very curious. So
how's that been as far as like having the family on the road? Are you guys pretty like regimented as far as like, do you have like a master plan, like some sort of document that like has mapped out time frames and dates and things like that?
No, not exactly. I'd say it's a little more loose than that. You know, Hannah's the planner, so it's all in her head. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
she's always figuring out what's the next place, and she's always adjusting on the fly to know like what's working for our family, what's not. So things like if the kids seem like, hey, you know what, they could really use some friends soon, then she'll be, all right, let's find a place where we can connect with some other people that are traveling, and connect with some kids their age. So it's very much done, I guess, organically as we go. She's usually planning a couple months ahead, but we'll change things if we need to.
Yeah.
And then each place we go, it's just like, it's interesting when you're traveling this much. It's like you have to adjust to so many different living situations, because you'll go to a place, it's like, oh, this place, the toilet doesn't flush properly. Oh, this place, we don't have like enough bedrooms. This place, so every place is different. So you're always like things you like and don't like about it. So it's kind of like living so many lifetimes so quickly, because you're like, oh, this is like moving houses every few weeks, you know what I mean? And you just learn what you like and don't like.
And cultural norms and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like in Spain right now, it's like we're getting up at 9 or 10 and eating, dinner at like 9 p.m. and not going to bed till midnight.
The fiesta, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that's not normal for us, So it's like, all right, do we want to like try to match what the culture is doing, which is usually what we try to do, or are we going to try to keep on our own schedule? So it's just been, interesting. It's kind of like experimenting with your life every place we go.
Yeah. And then how has it been as far as running the business? Like, I know you're still doing sales calls, you're doing all this other kind of stuff and motivating the team and whatnot. So how's that been going as far as kind of doing those things remotely?
I'd say it's harder, it's still been good though. I mean, because the good thing was I did get a chance to do that remotely, even from when I was working in Virginia, because we would work a few days out of the office. So we got more used to it, so we kind of eased into it. The only thing that's a little weird is time zones. And so for me right now, I'm 6 hours ahead from Eastern time, where most of my team is. So I've just switched my work time to be basically starting at like 2 p.m., which is like 8 a.m., Eastern time. So I work from like usually 2 to 10, you know what I mean? So it's a little weird because it's like I have to change my mindset, because I wake up and I'm like, I want to get all my work done, but like, I can't get my work done.
No one's working right now. Everyone's sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can do some of it, but I can't communicate with the team, right? So it's like, all right, so I'm just going to have to, so what I've actually been doing is trying to hang out with the family in the mornings most of the time if I can, and do some activities with them. And then to reset my brain, I'm like, all right, I'm going to take a nap, siesta in Spain. I'll take a quick nap in the afternoon, and then I'll start work after that. So it's kind of like I'm waking up again. Anyway, it's kind of been working for me, but it's still weird to like feel like all my work is still going to happen later today, and I can't like just get it done and chill out. So
it's reverse, right? You chill out, then get it done.
Yeah, it's just weird. That's not usually how I think. So I'm working on it.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, it's just fun to follow you and see, just the different places you guys have been. Hannah's really good about posting, and so it's fun to see just so many cool places. So, but hey, we have a great guest today on the Friday Habit. Talking about businesses and whatnot. We have somebody who is an expert when it comes to franchising, and so I'm excited to have James Hylvowski. It's like I said it right when we were starting, and then now it's like the pressure's on. And now I'm not saying it right. But I'm excited to have James Hylvowski on the show. He's the founder and CEO of the Fran Dream, a company dedicated to guiding aspiring entrepreneurs through complexities of franchising. With over 2 decades of experience in the franchising industry, James has helped countless individuals achieve their dreams of business ownership. His expertise lies in franchise development, operations, and strategic growth. Through personalized consulting and educational resources, the Fran Dream empowers clients to make informed decisions and succeed in the competitive world of franchising. James, welcome to the Friday Habit.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, I would love to hear a little bit about your journey. I think we all experience franchises in our day-to-day lives, right? There's so many restaurant concepts and, different types of things that are a franchising. So I'd love to hear a little bit about how did you get into the world of it, and then starting the Fran Dream and all that kind of stuff. What brought you to that place?
Yeah, well, so I started my career in the restaurant industry and in the fast food world, and from there I moved on with worked my way up. So I spent like 20 years with one company, and another restaurant company said, "Hey, come help us grow. Work specifically with our franchisees. We have one store now, and we want to build. We want to really build the doors off this concept." So wound up helping that concept build up to 100 stores by helping their opening, supporting their franchisees, being there for their liaison between corporate and the franchise community. So I was helping them. We grew it up to 100. Then the largest franchisee of that of the company said, "Hey, come work for me. Come run my operations." And so I did. They happened to be owned by 2 NFL football players, so that made it really kind of cool. And we did. So we had our franchise. We had like 12 franchises of that particular company, and then we opened another franchise ice cream concept. Then we did our own coffee shop concept, and then we did another own of a cookie dough concept. Then one of the NFL players, he retired, and then the other brother, he got hurt, couldn't fulfill the end of his contract, and they decided, our journey, we kind of want to go a different route than the restaurant world, which, that's fine, and it was very smart of them. They went into the tequila business. And not that I have anything against tequila, I just don't have that expertise, and wasn't really something I felt I was going to be very passionate about. So we sold off the restaurants, and they went tequila and did some other things as well. And then I started going, what do I want to do? And I also just took that background of going, I really loved working with franchisees, because anytime I told them to make a change to their business or do some sort of tweak that was going to save them money, I often go, gosh, I really kind of impacted their life with that. Mm-hmm. I made it, it made either more money or made their life easier. Whereas with the company, you're going, okay, I'm doing products, procedures, it's streamlining and helping them, but really made a deeper impact. So I drew on that and said, I want to work in the franchise community. And, what I want to do is take people that are in business, or they're in corporate America, and decide, hey, they want to bet on themselves, or former athletes that are done playing and want to get into something. Why not help people find the right franchise match in business? So I decided I would be a franchise broker and helping find people franchises that will match them, and then introduce them to the franchisor, and then stay with them just to make sure it would be a great fit and great match for them, and then kind of help them get their business launched. So that's kind of how I got into starting the Fran Dream and the reason behind it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So Did you grow up entrepreneurial minded, or did you have a background in that before you kind of got into the restaurant industry?
Well, that's a good question. My dad, he still worked for a corporation, but he always had some sort of side business going. So he did vending machines. He fixed up cars, classic cars, and sold those on the side. So it kind of had that mode of it. And then I also played sports when I was younger. Played a little bit in the Phillies minor league system. So
Okay.
being an athlete, I had that. Well, myself, I'm out there trying to earn a living doing that. So it kind of was like entrepreneur side. But then once I got into, into corporate America and working with them, it kind of got stuck in that. Well, I'm in corporate America and I want to do the best I can for the company. And it took me a while in corporate America as I moved up, going to see kind of how cutthroat and the loyalty just isn't there anymore. You could find out. I was working with a client the other day that was looking to get a franchise business, and she even said, "Hey, I have 2 years left in my job. I know they're getting ready to cut my position out. So I really want to look into owning a franchise business. Can you help me with that?" So it took me a while to kind of realize, they don't have your back. There's few companies that really have your back and really kind of care what happens after you're done working for them.
Yeah, unfortunately, right, a lot of businesses are just churn and burn. If you won't do it, then they'll find someone else who would do it for less and, replace you. And that sucks. But I feel like there is some sort of cultural shift. I feel like we're talking to a lot of people who are trying to develop leaders and, do all these things. So I think it'll be interesting to kind of see what the next generation, I think COVID really changed things too with, people being able to work remote and work from home and still be productive. And so I think the workforce is changing for sure. So it'll kind of be interesting to see how that all pans out over the next decade or so. But one of the other things I was curious about is, with franchising, it seems like there's a lot of concepts that are food. Why is that? Because I guess the other thing I'm thinking is, okay, so there's a lot of food, but then I feel like the profit margins in food are probably just razor thin.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because my background in food, immediately when anybody comes to me and says, "James, I want to invest, I want to get a good restaurant to invest in," I immediately try to talk them out of it because of what you're saying, the razor thin margins, and it's getting tougher and tougher to maintain those margins. And food, often, it's the highest investment level in a franchise. Mm-hmm. So, that a lot of people just think, hey, food is franchising. Everything's franchising. You go drive around the street, the pest control truck, that probably is a franchise. The Postal Annex, that's a franchise. The guy who's coming to fix the screens on your house, that's a franchise. The auto repair shop, that's a franchise. So many things
gyms. I see a lot of gyms and stuff like that are franchise concepts, I think.
Yeah, many things that you don't even realize are franchises really are franchises that are much better to get into than a restaurant. I mean, a restaurant really, if you're doing restaurants are usually always a multi-play type deal. You get into one, in my experience, even as long as I've been doing restaurants, we would pick a site and go, yeah, this site's going to be a winner. That it's going to be great. Open up in crickets. And you'd have some other sites that you have all the analytics and everything. And go, well, this is a C site, but the rent's good. We think we can make this work. And it's one of the top performing stores. So it really is inexact science. And if you're doing that, just as I've got my life savings, I'm going to do one, and you get a bad location, ooh, you're in big trouble. And then I hate to go, hey, let's spend $800K to $1 million into a restaurant when, I could put you into 3 franchises for that price.
Yeah.
If you're starting a franchise, what are some of the things that are key to it being successful? I'm just curious what makes a good franchise. I think about things like if it's something that's a really interesting twist on a concept, or it's normally for one target audience, but now it's a twist for a totally different target audience that needs the same thing, but they haven't realized it before. Like, what are the types of things that make it franchise? Is it the brand? Is it just having really solid systems in place? I mean, what's the key thing? Or I'm sure there's more than one, but what are some of the key things that come to mind when you're like, okay, this business would make a good franchise?
Yeah, that's a great question. But one of the things really in COVID franchising, when that hit, the home services just blew up because everybody wanted to do something to their home, whether it would be replace the screens, get power washed, do some work to the backyard. Those franchises were good, and the home franchises is still a really great market, mainly because it's often done home base where you don't need a brick and mortar to have all your equipment. So that makes that a really good franchise. But when you're looking at a franchise, I would say really you want to look for a franchise that's going to give you great support and has great systems, and that's going to give you the best chance to succeed. Because at the end of the day, no matter how good the franchise is, it's still up to you to perform. So you want to get all the systems and all that support behind you because you're the one that's going to make the engine go. They're going to give you that guidance, but you're the one that's going to make it go. And so that's kind of what I would say in a good franchise. And I always say, hey, look at a franchise that's going to give you great support, give you some really decent margins, and then, it's something obviously you have to enjoy, kind of like what you're doing. You can't hate it, but those are kind of what I would say make a great franchise.
Okay, so that's like what would make it a good fit for someone who's looking to get into a franchise. So then as somebody that's trying to build a business that could be franchised, would you say the same thing to them? It's like for them to build something that people will want to buy or buy into, then it needs to be something that's going to give them decent margins, really good support, and just have really good systems. Like those are some of the key things they should be thinking about as well.
100%. So you just want to go, okay, I have this business that I do painting where people come in and I do artwork for them in painting, much like Color Me Mine, but we're going to focus on painting. So I have this one unit. Do I need to have 2 units to franchise? No, not necessarily. You just have to have a system that's being able, you can duplicate it. You have systems out there to where you could give them a manual and they could run that playbook. And then you also go, okay, I need to come up with a really good support system. How am I going to do my training when I have my franchisees? Who am I going to train? Where am I going to do that? And what's that look like? And if you have all those and you have where you're going to give them good margins and you have and your total investments really not off the charts. Let's say you can make the opportunities to make 6 figures and your total investment is about 100 to 150,000 all in, then you probably have a really good chance of succeeding in the franchise market of franchising your model.
If you're wanting to create a franchisable business, are most franchisable businesses naturally like limited to a specific geography? So like a painting company or restaurant, they kind of have a limited geography they can serve. So like I'm just thinking of an example like Mark's business or my business. If Mark is doing podcasting, podcast editing services, let's say, or I'm doing like web design services, is it harder for a business like ours to franchise because there's not a geographical limit to who we can reach? Are those businesses typically franchisable or not as much as like a painting company or a restaurant or something like that?
Yeah, no, absolutely they are. And sometimes that makes it really where you're not capping or limiting, territories where it's like, hey, it's wide open. I could have 30 franchisees and they could all be going after everybody in the States. That's okay to have, and that's perfectly fine where you have just kind of that wide open and you've lifted that territory restriction on them. There's plenty of franchises out there that do that. There's a franchise that does judgment cases, like when the court issues a judgment, they go out and help collect that, and they have no territories. It's this is these are some of the courthouses you can work with. They want you to start locally and then expand across the U.S. of helping them. So there's really on a business like yours, it does not have to be confined into that one territory.
So why would someone decide to sell their business, or why would someone decide to franchise their business opposed to sell their business? Like you build up a really great restaurant concept or whatever like that. You have all these good systems and processes, and then you just decide like, all right, like I'm ready to retire. Let me just sell my business. Like, what would you tell somebody who maybe had a really good idea, like why they should maybe franchise instead of just sell?
Yeah, so let's take a look at their business and go, what is going to be, I could just sell and get out of it now, or I could try to build this and just take a step back from what I'm doing. And let's go back to the days of maybe when I was first starting this and how much enjoyment I had of that. And let's go, is the quickest way to build your brand is by franchising, by using other people's money. Meaning you're going to use franchisees. They're going to help build your brand and grow your brand. And it's going to be basically their money to do. So now you switch and go, okay, I want to build my brand and I want to build it by, franchising. And really what I want to do is talk with prospective franchisees, get them into the system. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to train them and give them opening support. And then I'm going to be right there by the phone to give them support of ongoing support. And what a great way of doing that. And I'm going to collect not only a franchise fee when they first join, which is typically like around $50,000, and then I'm going to collect 6 to 7% off the top line. And if you get 10 of those, you're looking pretty good. And then you could hire someone else to do that, and then you could kind of step back and go, okay, now we're going to get to 20, 30, 40 franchise units. And that's pretty good for just kind of sitting on the beach and having other people doing it.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Especially if you have all this knowledge and maybe you had a passion for the things earlier on that you can kind of help people with, where it's like, yeah, I know how to solve these problems for you. Then it's like having someone else kind of grow the brand and grow the business, and I'm sure it comes with a lot of headaches too. I mean, I'm sure that's not all just rainbows and sunshines, but in the same way. And then what about somebody who, and this seems like the most common thing, right? Is like someone is maybe wanting to get out of the corporate world, or they're retired, but they want to start a second career. I'm assuming that with franchising, right, it's like, okay, I have the ideas already. I have all the systems and processes set, and so I can just purchase this business in a box essentially and hit the ground running. Why would someone do that opposed to, I guess, creating their own thing or doing their own thing and just have kind of all that to themselves?
Yeah, that's really a question. I would say that if you're the type of person that doesn't really like to follow systems and rules and doesn't like having extra help or can't take coaching, and franchising really, that's not for them. It really that won't even be a good fit. So I would say if you're looking to start something on your own, a business on your own in franchising, and you are open to that, let's just think about in franchising, they're going to be able to help you find a site. If it's a brick and mortar site, they're going to be able to build it cheaper for you because they've done this, many times, and so it should be cheaper. They're going to help you with opening support. They're going to train you. Let's say you got into dog grooming and didn't know how to operate that business. They're going to tell you how to do that. So it opens up that you can almost do anything that they're going to train you. They give you all the support and systems and guidance, which you wouldn't have if you did it on your own. And then once you're up and going, they're going to give you that existing support as well. Not only that, but let's say the franchise system has, let's just say it's small and only has 10 other franchisees. Well, those 10 other franchisees are now your teammates. And you can call them up and go, hey, I'm having problems with this system. What did you do? Or how did you make yourself more profitable? How did you fine tune your business to make more money go on the bottom? And they're going to help you and support you. So not only do you get support from the franchisor, you have some support from the existing franchisees as well.
At what point do you think someone knows that their business, or what are some markers to say, hey, like it might be time for you to franchise, opposed to just open up another location? I mean, like what's the benefit of deciding to franchise your company, other than, because isn't McDonald's, for instance, right? Doesn't McDonald's have like corporate owned McDonald's, and then they have franchises too, where it's like they sell the land or whatever and the brand, and then you can essentially buy McDonald's or Chipotle or something like that, but then there's also corporate run stores. So like, what's the difference between just making 10, 100 locations of your own and having it being a corporate deal, or franchising it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if you're going to franchise, do also remember you can still build your own locations. So even if you decide you're going to franchise, you can still be building your brand. But the main reason why you franchise is to build your brand quicker and use other people's money and have less capital to do that. So in other words, if I'm one person and I have this great restaurant and I'm looking, okay, I have a great concept, I'm doing very well, I could build another location. So let's say that's going to take me $800,000 to build another location. Or do I franchise? The cost to franchise your business is probably around 60 to 80K all in. And that's with marketing and all that. So I could franchise, I could start selling franchises, and I could build a lot quicker, and I don't have to use that capital. I'm just going to save the capital to build the business. And maybe you franchise it and you decide kind of your growth too. So there's some businesses that we've helped franchise where their goal was, hey, I have a sports bar. I love what our concept is. We have a great manager. I want to reward my manager, so I want to franchise, and I just kind of want to stay around the Denver area, and I only want 3 or 4 franchises because I don't want to be big, but I want my manager that's been with me all this time to have something to do. And that's great, and that's kind of what their system is. And then we've had other people that said, you know what? I want to be the king of indoor golf. I want to have 100 franchises within 3 years. And there's plans and ways of doing that. And the growth is totally up to you as how you want to drive your franchise business in there. So, and that's very important too. When you're growing, just don't grow overly too fast. You got to have the people in place to grow that fast like that under. But you definitely can set your parameters of how fast you want to grow, and then you're saving all that capital, and then you still could always return and build another unit in any time that you want to.
Along with that, what are some common mistakes you see people make when they're building a franchise?
When they're building into their franchise, they oftentimes they'll maybe expand too fast. And my meaning, maybe it's just you're a one-man show, you franchised, and now you got 15 franchisees and haven't hired anybody. That means that you've kind of grown too fast and maybe are stretched yourself a little thin. And then another common mistake is you will just sign anybody up who wants to be a franchisee. That's a big problem. You can say no to, you don't have to, if someone says, hey, here's my money, I want to get into it, you don't have to sell them a franchise. The worst thing you can do is sell someone, get a bad franchisee in the system. If you don't feel like they're going to be a good business partner, that's the worst thing you could do, is have a bad franchisee that's not going to care about the business and run the business. So don't just take dollar signs, really vet that franchisee out. Much as like you're interviewing someone for a position, you don't want to get any bad apples into. So that's one. And then another one would be, going, hey, I know we're just starting out, and I'm going to give you the Dallas, Texas territory. Well, the problem with that is you could have awarded Dallas the territory. You could have maybe put 10 to 20 units into that rather than giving this one person the whole rights to Dallas where they only have the capital to do 2 units. So those are kind of, a few of the common mistakes that they're made.
What about the type personality or what are some good markers for an individual to say, hey, it really takes this kind of personality to do this kind of thing? Kind of like you mentioned earlier, you were saying, like, listen, if you just want to not adhere to a system or process, if you want to do your own thing and blaze your own trail, like, maybe franchising is not for you. But what does it look like for someone to be like an excellent franchisor? Like, what kind of attributes do you attach to that?
Well, I would say definitely be an excellent franchisor is, you're involved in your business and you care about your business and you want it to grow. That definitely is one for sure. And then just the using those same traits of when you're selecting your franchisees, just having that, like, okay, I want to find people that are just like myself that I want to, invite into my system that are going to help me grow and share the same vision of what's my vision for the company, and just have that alignment from the franchisee. So I would say the traits really are going to be, that motivation and drive to grow the business, and you also have to have that sort of helping component too, because you're going to be giving a lot of advice, a lot of coddling, and a lot of, you're going to have a lot of patience too, because you're going to have a lot of questions that come up, and you're going to be able to not be one of these, your personality shouldn't be one that's going to immediately blow up when someone has a question. It's got to be, hey, we got you. Here's how we do it. Here's what we're going to do. And here's how we're going to work this out. So it really got to have a level-headedness as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. What about the biggest challenges you see with new franchise owners? What are some of those challenges they face, and then how do they overcome them?
So I would say one of the biggest new challenges for brand new franchise owners is really the fear of and failure of when the business is down. So fear can take over and go, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have done this. This was a really bad mistake, and maybe I should have never left, my job or whatever. So that fear is one. And then when you're in a rut where maybe it's not going as you thought, I kind of liken it to a baseball or an athlete when they're going wrong. When you're in baseball and you're in a slump, the last thing you want to do is sit out. You want to get back in the box and take another at bat and continue working on your swing and mastering your craft. So I would say, it is when you're in a low point, it's work yourself out of that by striving harder, but also don't forget you're in a franchise system. So what do you have? You have franchisees that are teammates. You have franchisors. So seek help earlier than later, and they will be the ones that go, oh yeah, I had this happen my first 3 months. I had the same thing happen. Here's what you do, and here's how you pull out of it, and here's some good ideas. So I think that's really, just don't get too low and don't keep it all in. Seek help.
Yeah, that seems like a major plus of having a franchise, right? It's like you're kind of on this team with all these other people who are doing the same thing with the same brand in different areas of the country or the city or whatever it is. So it is kind of like you're not really competing with each other, right? Because you typically buy like a territory or something like that, right? So it's like you kind of can build your area, and then another person can maybe build their area like 10 miles away or something like that. And so you're really not really trying to compete for the same customer. And so you can come alongside each other and encourage each other. And then you have that resource too of when someone maybe has been around a little bit longer, you can hit them up and say, hey, like, what did you do when you ran into this? Or how have you been successful in doing X, Y, and Z and navigating this. So that's interesting. I mean, I feel like throughout the past 20 years, there's just, and maybe even longer, and you've been in this longer. So, but what I see from the outside looking in, it's like there seems to be certain trends, that come and go. I remember like for a while, it was like frozen yogurt places were just popping up everywhere. It was like everywhere I turned, there was like a new frozen yogurt concept. And I'm like, there must be some like Wizard of Oz somewhere that people are being like, this is going to be the next thing. And then they're just popping up all these franchises. Or it's like, I see burger joints, it's like now burgers are like the new thing, and so it's like we see burger places everywhere. So what do you see as far as coming down the pipe, as far as like franchises go, and what do you see that has been really successful in really any time in history, like these kind of concepts have been successful?
Well, the ones that stand the time is always the home service markets of helping homes and just fixing up homes or providing HVAC and
like what are some of those brands like like Molly Maid or something like that? And
you have Molly Maid, you have HVAC companies that are like Temperature Pro. You have 1 minute air conditioning. You have plumbing where you go Zoom drain pump plumbing that's out there. You have decorating dens that help come in and decorate your home. You have the bathroom remodel guys that are there. One day blinds. The screen man who does screens and so definitely.
You haven't mentioned any food concepts. You haven't.
No, I haven't mentioned any food concepts there. That food concepts are. It's just you got to have the right staff behind that to run. You have to have the right people to run it, because if you don't know anything about food, it's really tough. In the food world, we did see. And you did see some of the vegan restaurants come out, and you thought maybe that was going to be the craze, and it really didn't take off. I think Kevin Hart opened a bunch of restaurants up, and he's closing a bunch of them because he just did a quick like, okay, well, this isn't working. Why? And he did the smart thing. I'm going to close, after a year or two. Why try to draw this out for 10 years and lose more? So.
Right.
I would say that I do see in franchising now, one of the hotter sectors I would say is the pet.
Like mobile grooming and all these other kind of things. Everyone loves their pets. I feel like more and more people are getting pets, so it's like that's probably a multi-billion-dollar business just because there's just a craze of everyone wanting a dog or a pet or something like that.
Yeah, and you got it, and so now it's like if you find the right groomer, whether it be mobile grooming or brick and mortar, that's like finding someone who's gold that's going to take care of my dog. They're going to be a great person. They're going to get a great cut every time. And we now have some brick and mortar grooming places that do a subscription model where you pay, you pay $50, $60 a month, and you can take your dog in as many times as you want to get, a blown out and a bath. And so those are really hot because I think those are great because everyone loves a subscription model. So, just the pets sector is just kind of really blowing up, even pet boarding and when people go on vacation, they got to do something with their animals. So, pet boarding or even dog training, it's really taken off in the franchise world right now.
Have you seen anything with the like automated car wash kind of franchises? I've noticed, at least in town where I live, like they all kind of came in at once, and then I think most of them have not been well maintained after about 2 years, and I'd just be curious. It looks like one franchise has kind of bought up some of the other ones. I'm curious if you've seen anything in that area, if that has been like oversaturated. I know that does have like a subscription model behind it. Usually it's like a membership where you can save quite a bit, which I thought was like, oh, this is kind of brilliant. But like it seems like they're a little understaffed maybe nowadays, and also a little bit like just not well maintained. I don't know. Do you have any insights into that side?
Yeah, no, the car wash business that like you said, the first 2 years seem to be really great. Their equipment goes down. The problem with the car wash is mainly the the investment levels are typically pretty
Yeah,
high.
you can buy all that equipment and the water usage and like all these other kind of things. Seems like you have to have a large chunk of capital to get that thing going.
Yeah, you're looking close to $1 million or more on that. And then also, like you just said, Mark, the water, what state are you in? Do you have to recapture the water and reuse the water and the regulations, and that equipment when it breaks is very expensive too. So it's something that can be okay, but it's not something that I really recommend though, just because of it, there's a lot of warts behind it.
Yeah, I was thinking the equipment seems like the hardest thing. That's what I've noticed. Is just the equipment seems like it doesn't get repaired right away, which makes me think, yeah, that probably costs some money, and that's probably why they're not fixing that. Yeah.
Exactly.
What's your favorite concept?
Right now, really, so this year I probably placed the most clients in dog grooming.
Okay.
Really,
Yeah.
and it really is just the stories you hear of the people that have gotten into it. There's one gentleman, he was in corporate America. He's going, I want to get out. But dog grooming's kind of cool. So my wife's going to run the first unit. They bought a 3-unit deal. And he goes, the second unit, that's when I'm going to exit. And then the third unit, then by that time, my daughter will be old enough, and the third unit will be her unit. And then, we hope to have, generational wealth through this. And then you had another couple who just said, hey, we're going to partner on. They were in the school system. They got done teaching, and they just said, we're going to go in this together. And they bought 4 of them, and they're just going to go, we want to have the dog grooming, empire. And then we had some they were gas station owners, and they want to get out of the gas station business, and they purchased a large territory for dog grooming as well.
Wow.
It's kind of a different change from gas station to that, but it's just the stories you hear of, like, they're going to go into this and just either looking at generational wealth, or the husband that we do have a lawyer whose wife wanted to get into a business, and she loves dogs, and dog grooming was perfect for him. So that's been this year has definitely been kind of the dog grooming year for myself. And there's some health and wellness ones that we place people with that are kids muscle recovery that are out there that they've done. And then we've also done some float spas and different.
What's been your most successful, like, that you over the past, like, say, like 30 years or 20 years, like, what have you seen that's like, oh yeah, like this one was just so fun to be a part of, and it was cool while it lasted, and it had lots of success?
Yeah, it's hard to pin down one. I just say currently what I'm looking at now in that dog grooming. What I love about that concept is the founder, he was a former lawyer that was. He was a corporate lawyer, and he was let go, and he's like, well, I'm going to do my own business. I'm not going to get back in practicing law. And he founded this company, and he has about 5 of his own units. And then he started franchising it, but just the passion he has for it. But not only the passion he has for it, but the passion he has for his franchisees that come on of, hey, I want to support you. Yes, I want to make this dream come true for you. And just that genuine, he's genuine. He's not looking to sell to anyone. He's just looking to have a great system and a great pack, as he calls it. I want my pack to all be successful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I'm sure if you want to lead people and you want to just enrich people's lives, that's a great way to start doing it. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So that's
what's been your favorite food concept over the years?
That's a tough one. A favorite food concept over the years, it kind of comes and goes, right? So you had the wood fire pizza craze.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So, you had the Blaze Pizzas of the world and that was a really great concept. And then kind of go, wow, it's really labor intensive. And the top line's great. It's about, hey, how can we get people through the line? And now, wow, the labor's really high. So when we have to cut back on labor, is this model going to make it? And so the jury's still kind of out on that for sure. But the wood fire pizza craze is there, and then there's a couple that are out there that's kind of interesting where you're doing it's just gourmet toast of
toast,
of avocado, avocado gourmet toast,
cinnamon and sugar.
Yeah, it's just gourmet toast, and it's an interesting one. It started just I want to say about 4 years ago.
See, those things blow. See, that's the thing where I'm like, this is a red flag. How could someone not see that? Like, there's a mac and cheese place too that popped up, and then there was like a soup, like a tomato soup place that popped up or something like that. And I was just thinking, like, who sees this as something that people like toast? I get it. I love a good slice of toast, but to be honest with you, at some point, people are going to get tired of toast, and they're not going to want a slice of toast, or it's going to be like, I've had the toast. I'm over it. So it's just funny, some of these concepts that pop up where I'm like, yeah, I don't think grilled cheese and tomato soup is something that is going to be a wild craze, because we had one of those grilled cheese and tomato soup places. There's like 2 of them that were around here, and they closed down. And I'm like, yeah, because after you've had it once, it's not like, ooh, I'm going to have it again next week. It's kind of like, yeah, maybe on a cold day, I feel like, or it's something that's like, I can easily make this at home for half the price.
Well, they do have coffee behind them too, so they're very, it is a very interesting concept.
Toast and coffee, and listen, toast is way easier to make than donuts. I mean, donuts you got to get there at 2 a.m. and let the dough rise, and then fry the donut. I mean, talk about labor intensive and not conducive to an easy lifestyle. I'm like, anyone who owns a donut shop that's been successful is winning,
And then one of the other funner ones that has been a brewery where they brew the beer for you and then they ship it out to you. So it's like you have your own brewery, and then it's a concept to where they do have bar food, but you have to come up to the counter and get the food, so you don't have the expense of waiters, waitresses. Yeah. So it's a nice, cool, hip vibe of the brewery, and the concept of you have the food, and the concept where you don't have to have the wait staff makes it kind of intriguing.
Yeah. Yeah, the other one I'm always curious about is like gyms, because there's so many gyms that pop up in strip malls, and I'm just thinking like, man, the owners clearly have to be passionate about fitness, right? So this is something that they're going to do. But then, man, you have to sell your butt off. Like you have to try to convince someone, like, hey, come to my strip mall gym, then go to this nice, fancy, big gym, that has all these amenities. Like, we're going to do a quick workout in the strip mall instead of doing it at this Lifetime Fitness, So I feel like that's a grind too. I'm always like curious, like what is the person who thinks like, ooh, yeah, strip mall gym, like this is going to be big.
Well, some of the smaller ones, I totally agree with you. My favorite gym concept is a concept that, they help you. I mean, all gyms kind of do this, but it's pre-sale. So when you open the doors, you want to be basically even when you're opening the doors, so that you've captured that subscription model. And then the whole key is to try to keep them, right? Well, this one gym model, it still has all the attributes of a gym, has great cardio workout where they're led by a personal trainer. But what they do is every 6 weeks they have a weight loss challenge. So it's like a transformation center. So every 6 weeks you're in there doing a weight loss challenge, and the goal is to lose, X amount of pounds. And so you have potential new clients coming in every 6 weeks that you hopefully transform them, and then they stay at the gym. And then they also have their own brand of supplements and protein powders and shakes, and they have some really cool apparel. So that concept, I really think, has some legs to it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. What's the biggest franchise that we don't know about? I know Remax, right? Like you never think of Remax as a franchise, but it's really a franchise. It's a massive, large franchise. What are some other brands out there that we don't know that are probably like, oh, that's a franchise? Like, oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, you have like your home vestors that are out there that are, We Buy Ugly Homes. Home vestors, We Buy Ugly Homes.
Junk collectors.
Yeah, so you wouldn't think of it that. Yeah, that's a franchise. Like Amco, the auto,
Oh,
the
yeah.
transmission, that's a franchise
Oh,
that's out
interesting.
there.
Okay.
The Grease Monkey for oil change and Strickland Oil, those are franchises. There's even a car dealership. They're called Byrider, but they're a franchise that they do. They sell used cars that are out there, and most dealers that are out there are franchises for car dealers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So,
And then I think Chick-fil-A is a franchise, right?
kind of. So Chick-fil-A they are a franchise, but you have to be a general manager for Chick-fil-A for a certain period of time.
Okay.
And then you apply to become a franchisee, and it's a very hard process. But if you make that, you get selected, and then you are eligible for profit sharing at the restaurant, but you never actually own the restaurant.
Oh, okay.
Now, profit sharing at Chick-fil-A is not a bad gig.
Not a bad gig, yeah.
But just know that you're never going to be that person that is, watching your crew work and
Right.
watching your money. You're going to be in the restaurant all the time working for that.
And then what do you think about what are the most successful or most profitable franchises? Obviously, it's one of those things too where you have to have money sometimes, right? You hear, well, if you can buy a Chipotle for $1 million, then in 5 years you make all your money back, and then it's just straight profits after that.
Yeah, I would say so. Ones that have strong margins are the restoration business. Anything in restoration where your home's been damaged by fire, flooding,
hail.
That's a very lucrative business. There's several franchises in that industry. So that's a very good one. The other one that really would be something as far as smashing trash, believe it or not, where you take dumpsters and you have a machine that's able to smash the trash compartment down to 20% when it used to be 100% capacity. So that's a very good, strong margin franchise in that industry. So there's so many that are out there that you go, gosh, these are the best franchises. But all of them definitely have their nice returns, and it's just a matter of kind of what the buyer wants and what industry they want to be a part of. I mean, I wouldn't recommend going into the vending business. That's a tough haul.
Really? Or what at the laundromat business?
Laundromat business, that's not bad. Not bad. It's decent margins, not bad, but it probably is a lot higher of an investment level than you think it might be. You're talking
right, all the equipment, repairs, maintenance, all that kind of stuff.
If you're talking a laundromat, you're talking $1 million.
Oh,
if
wow,
you're
okay.
talking a dry cleaner, is about $500,000. So you'll get your money back. But the laundromat's going to be a longer play. Dry cleaners, your money's probably back in about 2.5, 3 years on that. So yeah, there's definitely pluses and minuses to definitely a lot of the different industries. But going back to the vending machines, people just think, yeah, I'll just fill it up and it'll be okay. Well, you have to find a place to put the vending machines, and you have to go out and purchase all the stuff that goes in the vending machines. So you have to have a truck, you have to have somewhere to store it, and you have to constantly fill it. So what I say I don't recommend, a lot of people just think, oh, vending machines, it's just easy. I have the machine there and I just fill it up. There's a lot more to it than that. That's for sure.
The mechanics behind it. It's
Yeah.
okay, well, if you want to spend your days traveling through the city, loading up machines and collecting quarters, then great, do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what vending's like. I mean, not saying, you can't make money doing it. It's just a lot harder than one would think.
And now I want to pitch my terrible franchise concept. This is not even a concept, but when my kids and I, when we go camping sometimes, we have this little mini waffle iron, and whatever ingredients we have in the trailer, we'll put in the waffles. So I call them weird waffles. So we'll have s'more waffles sometimes. It'll be some graham crackers, some, marshmallow, chocolate, whatever, throw it in the waffle iron, and then I'll be like, oh, I got some jalapenos and cheddar. Let's make some jalapeno cheddar bacon waffles. So we call them weird waffles. So now I just want to have a food truck called Weird Waffles. And
I
then
like
it's kind of
it.
like Jersey Mike's, and Jersey Mike's is like,
weird
oh, I'll have it
waffles.
Mike's way. But instead of having it Mike's way, you said, make it weird. Like, hey, would you like to make that weird? Yeah, make
I
it
like
weird.
that.
Yeah.
That's very good. There is a franchise called Press Waffles that's
really?
out
Nice.
there, and you take the waffle and you could go down the line and put anything on it. So it's build your
Nice.
own
Okay.
waffle.
Yeah.
So
I like it. Yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
Weird waffles.
Ben, I'm in on this franchise idea. I'm making it
James
weird.
is like, no, food service. Make it
Yeah,
weird.
profit margins.
Make it weird.
Hey, so when you make your waffles, do you always start with a base of a waffle batter and then you add the jalapeno and cheddar, or is it just throw a jalapeno and cheese inside the thing and smash it?
Pretty much the second one. Yeah.
there you go.
Okay, it's like put a burger in there. It's like, will it waffle? You just need to make a YouTube channel. Like, will it waffle?
It's actually the batter, and then you mostly put the batter and you just sprinkle in some little bits of something else. Just add some flavor.
Yeah, that's
It's
fun.
not complicated. Yeah.
So, would you? What does it look like when someone comes to you? Like, would you ever recommend someone to say, "Hey, you know what? Don't put your retirement in a franchise. Just put it in the market and, let it grow over time." Like, do you find that if someone has a chunk of change, it's beneficial to say, yeah, like you should look at maybe doing some sort of franchise concept?
Yeah, I always would say that. It is
because it sounds like a lot of times people are coming to you because, they want to start a second career or they have an inheritance or something like that. And they're like, hey, what do I do with this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. I always would say it's worth looking at a franchise. It's just, what's your personality like? Are you willing to bet on yourself and take that risk? Because it is a risk. At the end of the day, I can't tell you you're going to succeed. I don't know that or not. What I do is I just try to find you the best match for what you tell me of your investment level, if you want to be owner operator, what industries you want to look at, or you go, hey, James, show me this in this, in this ballpark range of my investment level, what you think could work. And I'll show them that, and then we'll talk through the different brands that I show them. And if they like one or two, I'll introduce them to the franchisor, and then I'll just kind of help advise them through it. But it's rare that I go, yes, you should do that, because it's ultimately their decision and their money on the line. I just will show them this, I'll advise them, and I'll go, hey, if this is what you're looking for, if you're looking for something that can create generational wealth, this is something you definitely look at.
Yeah. Well, listen, this has been a great conversation. Thanks for hanging out with us and sharing with us all about franchising and just the different concepts and ideas and what works, what doesn't work, what kind of personalities, work and whatnot. So you have answered all my questions that I've ever had about franchising. So I appreciate it. And really, I feel like the key takeaway is really find somebody who can guide you through the process. Correct. Because it is so complicated. There's so many options out there. I'm sure you could spend hundreds of hours Googling things, so really having a trusted advisor to kind of guide you through the process, answer your questions, someone who has experience is high in the priority range for deciding whether or not you want to take part in doing a franchise. So, well, Ben, what are our takeaways for today's episode?
Got a couple. One is, if you don't like to follow systems or rules, buying a franchise is probably not for you. Second is, franchising allows you to build your brand quicker and at a lower cost. And finally, find a franchise that has decent margins, great support, and great systems, and probably not a restaurant.
Very, very, very true.
There you go. Well, James, we like to leave everybody with one piece of advice to say that, hey, starting Monday morning, focus on this one thing so that you can achieve success. And so with all your years of experience with helping business owners, achieve success, what is the one thing that you see that you could give advice to somebody saying, hey, starting Monday morning, focus on this?
So starting Monday morning, I would say, no matter what business or even in walk of life, if you're feeling down and you're feeling the struggles, just know that someone has always gone through that before you. that there's someone that you could talk to that can help you out in the business world. If it's a career change or if your business is struggling, there are resources that'll help, because we've all been there, and it just persevere and just strive to get better and just try to get better every day.
All right. Love it. Well, hey, thanks so much for tuning into the Friday Habit. If you go to thefridayhabit.com, you can find show notes for this episode. There you can also find links to our websites and ways to get in touch. And at the bottom of the page, you can download our guide to the Friday Habit system. It's going to show you how to spend more time working on your business instead of always in your business.
And James, where can we find more about you? What's your website where people can follow you and find out more information about you?
Yeah, thank you. My website is thefrandream.com, or just email me at james@thefrandream.com.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review in the Apple Podcast app. And if you have a question for us, send it to hello@thefridayhabit.com.
That's right. And until next time, remember, live every day like it's Friday.